No.
I'll give you that.
All right. Um, School of Rock, and he plays his zany kind of lovable loser character in that film, but it works for the character and what he's currently trying to do. It works there. And then his and something that's probably the best character he's ever played as far as like not himself, like that actually took some acting, Shallow Hal. And it gets overlooked now because of fat shaming, because they put Gwyneth Paltrow in a fat suit, but those people
Right.
completely miss the point of the film. It's a decent story to tell about not looking into people's insecurities, and all they look at is, oh, you portrayed fat people as being. You're missing the point. It's a decent movie. It tells a good story, and he acts like a decent person in it. It's the whole point of him. And Jason Alexander is supposed to be the sleaze.
Well, I'll throw one more role at you that I thought he did good in. Supporting role though, Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, but everybody in that movie was good to
But
watch.
yeah, but what it is he played against type. He played basically he he was like a dark version of himself off camera. If it were like he plays one of these actors that's in fat suit comedy movies, ah ha ha, but off camera he's drug addicted, narcissistic, stuff of this nature. And it was like, whoa, that's what you see on screen on the film and what you see off camera on the film are two different characters, and I thought he played that really well. So he's got that ability. Why
Now,
hide that all the time behind the zany Jack Black?
yeah, he doesn't have to be a zany Jack Black. They use him over. I mean, if they had played this character up like a solid character, given him a chance to be a solid actor, the movie itself might have been okay. All right, it wasn't all bad, and there's some decent performances happening. But the fact that they just told him to be zany the whole time, and I don't think they gave him much direction beyond that.
No,
Like
it's
they,
like, hey Jack, we got this scene coming up. We just need you to riff.
yeah, just you go roll
Happens
until he's
all
done,
over the
and then we'll
movie.
cut it in post. Now he played a different type of character in 2005's King Kong, right? He was a little more subdued in that. He was They didn't do zany because that wouldn't have worked in that world, and that's an okay. That worked out all right. And did you ever see The Jackal with
Oh,
Bruce
with Bruce
Willis?
Willis. Yeah,
And he blows his arm off. he
but
Jack
that
Black
was
builds that big old gun for him, and then he blows his arm off. I'm like,
right.
okay,
But this was before he really broke out. I think this was like him easing into the film industry to see if he could do it. So he wasn't at the time Jack Black. He was, and also starring Jack Black as a computer nerd, that kind of thing.
yeah.
So
Well,
so
not
he
true.
was modulated heavily at that point.
Now I'd still say his biggest roles of all time, his most iconic would be Kung Fu Panda, because his voice lends itself well to a fat panda.
That works, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
that's
we give him credit
you're
for that one.
also you're also cartoonish and over the top, so it requires that. And you don't have to look at him. So that's helpful.
That's a plus.
And
kind of
what
like us,
kind of-
kind of like us on this show.
So yeah, Jack Black is in the Minecraft trailer looking just bedraggled. His hair is long. His beard is long. It's almost like he's trying to get Hollywood to fire him at this point. Like I've seen him for the last couple of years. It's like, dude, did the wife leave you? What happened? And he's just like now on camera with it. It's like, hey, you want Jack Black? This is what you're getting. This is I'm showing up. I'm doing Jack. Hey, hey, hey. Don't ask me to shave. Don't ask me to comb my hair. Let's cut it. I got to be out of here by 4. That's the feeling I get from this trailer. So we are covering, as you heard, Gulliver's Travels starring Jack Black. What the hell with this movie? Did you see where the origination of this came from?
Mm-mm. If I did, I don't recall it.
Okay, well, at Nickelodeon back in the day, back in the 90s, they had it was almost their version of MTV's animation block, and one of the shows there was called Prometheus and Bob, and it was a stop motion animation. And basically, it was an alien lands on Earth thousands of years ago and befriends a caveman and tries to teach him about humanity, and a lot of slapstick humor and comedy come out of it, right?
Never even
Like
heard.
it was, like a cult pop hit at the time. There was an idea to make this into a motion picture for Nickelodeon Studios. A script was made, and it wasn't written by the guy that created the animated series. So he said, I got the script and it was garbage and I wanted to rewrite it. And then one of the directors fell out and it just, went into production hell, as happens in Hollywood. They've retained the rights on Nickelodeon never to do anything with this, however. So as this went into development purgatory, nothing came of it. But when they interviewed this guy years later, he said, the script was knocking around and it just flowed. And many of the elements of the script ended up in the stupid Gulliver Travels movie because it's the same screenwriter. So the guy repurposed this alien caveman screenplay and used it to adapt Gulliver's Travels.
Wow. You knew this movie got him a Golden Raspberry that year as nomination for Worst Actor?
Yeah, that as it should. This is not a high water mark in anybody's career. This is the thing. Fox, 20th Century Fox, put some muscle behind this thing. $100 million budget plus. Christmas release. I mean, this is...
I saw this movie in theaters with my kids. It was 2010, so my daughter would have been
Your poor
8.
children.
Yeah, my daughter was 8. My son was 4. I remember going and seeing this thing Christmas weekend with them. We would catch a movie, all the good big movies, and they released this thing in 3D. Let me tell you what I don't need, Hollywood. I don't need to see Jack Black in 3D, ever.
No.
Emily Blunt, you could just have a camera on her in 3D for 2.5 hours, and I'll buy a ticket. I love Emily Blunt. She is a fantastic actress. Emily Blunt is as intriguing and engaging to watch do anything as Denzel Washington is.
Really now?
She's one of my favorite actresses. She's smart. She's beautiful. She is engaging. I like everything she's in, and I'm upset. Like to this day, I will remain upset. And if I ever get a chance to say this to Kevin Feige, I will. I will say it to his face. I have a problem with them not buying her out of her Fox contract so that she could play the Black Widow in Iron Man 2. Because look, I like who they got. I like Scarlett. Beautiful woman too. However, we could have had Emily Blunt as the Black Widow for 12 movies?
Yeah, she
and we missed out because she did this nonsense.
She got locked into a deal. Fox had a 2-picture deal with her, and they locked her into Gulliver's Travels, and so there was a scheduling conflict, and she could not appear in the Marvel film. Damn. That has to hurt. And
unforgivable.
I think it does hurt because this summer the Fall Guy came out that she's in. Did you see that one?
I did. I liked it. It's a little long in the tooth, but
Yeah, I
overall, I had a
needed a hard
fun.
edit, but it's like okay, I see what you're going for. Plus, it's the same director from John Wick, so you want to put him in an action movie about stunt guys, you're probably going to get at least something good out of the deal. But when her and Ryan Gosling were on the promo tour for the film, he would bring up Gulliver's Travels, and you could just see her just almost dissolve. She's like, "Why do you have to do this? This movie doesn't exist. We're moving on." So he would always
Yes.
needle her with that.
It said in the interview, the quote was, he was given a hard time, and she says, "We do not talk about that film."
Exactly. But this, yeah, give you an idea. This movie, beyond Jack Black, has Jason Segel, Emily Blunt, Amanda Peet, Billy Connolly, Chris O'Dowd, who looks kind of embarrassed the whole time. T.J. Miller, I think this might be one of his earlier roles because he's definitely not doing the T.J. Miller thing. James Corden is in this, thankfully, for about 30 seconds.
T.J. Miller's
So,
not even really in it that long, is he?
no, he's in the early scenes and then in the closing scenes. He basically
Yeah, he's
bookends
like,
the movie, and
yeah, he's the boss.
he's not playing that little stoner drawly T.J. Miller. He's actually trying to sound, I don't know, legible. You can actually hear what he's saying for a change. But yeah, they went whole in. So you got a massive budget. You got big stars. You got a holiday release based on a classic novel, Mushroom Cloud. Well, actually, I can't even say that. This is weird. The movie did nothing domestically. Opened number 8 in the box office. How you almost have to try to be that bad. And yet internationally, this thing made $200 million plus.
Figure that out.
How do you make sense of this? I think ultimately in the North America it didn't even clear 40 million, maybe. I mean, just an absolute bomb. When you open on Christmas weekend and you can't do better than number 8.
Well, it also, because it released in 3D, so and this is 2010, and Avatar had just come out in 2009. And this movie references a lot of movie pop culture, including Avatar, right? There's that whole scene where it says Gavatar, everything's with a G. So they clearly threw that in last minute because the movie just came out a year prior. And the hype overbuilt it, right? So
Well, Artie
everybody
and I
thought,
talk
oh,
about this all the time on the Culture Shift, where
yeah,
this is
it was terrible. Everything got a 3D release.
it's a $1 billion franchise, right? And you never hear anybody talking about it. It never gets referenced on social media. You don't hear people, taglines. They don't wear the shirts. You don't see products from it.
It has
It
its
is,
own theme park area at Disney.
I know. And it's like this monster hit of a film that nobody talks about. It's weird. I mean,
It's because James Cameron had a track record of producing large spectacles that made good money.
yeah,
Titanic, leading at Titanic, Terminator 2 was a great one, and Piranha 2. That's another good one that he had
I was
coming
just
out.
about to reference that.
But he already had a reputation for that, and so everybody was looking forward to it. But Hollywood thought it was because of the 3D animation. Oh, we're cutting everything in 3D, so they would do everything in post 3D. And I wrote a whole article for Screen Rant back in 2010, 2011, and it was called 3D: A Hollywood Fad Run Amok. And it was all about how it needed to stop because they were making the films, they were making decent films terrible and bad films worse. Gods in Egypt, or was it Gods in, what was the one they did with?
Yeah,
No, I don't know if that was the one. Is that the one with Gerard Butler?
yeah.
Yeah, and they cut it into 3D. It's one of the worst cuts of 3D I've ever seen. Johnny Depp's Alice in Wonderland. It was
Well, they were
so
doing
dark.
this it was kind of a cash grab because so many
Yeah, so
times they wouldn't shoot the movie in 3D, but they would then
cut
alter
it.
the print in post production to become a 3D, and it would make it a muddled visual. It would be darker. The light
Mm,
it would affect the lighting, would affect the focus,
right.
and they all did this just so they could charge a $4 or $5 premium on seeing it in 3D.
Johnny Depp's Alice in Wonderland, while it made over $1 billion, which just further solidified in Hollywood's mind that 3D was the way to go, was an unwatchable dark hole mess. You couldn't see what was happening because of it. You watch it regular, everything's fine.
Yeah.
So this movie falls into that category where 3D films were like part of it. And I remember I wear glasses, so I can't watch movies in 3D, thank God. But people spent an entirely too much amount of money to go watch movies in 3D. It had what a like a $15 premium upcharge, so it
Yeah,
would sell.
something like tickets
So
were $10, but 3D would be 14 or $15, that kind of
so
thing.
there's at least a 50% markup on the ticket prices. So it would overinflate the number of tickets sold. That tells you how bad this movie was because it had a
Yeah.
upcharge on it and still barely cleared its budget.
And that's only with the help of the international market. So it cost about 112 to make. It cleared about 237 global, meaning the studio probably took in 40 to 50% of that. So even at the box office, it might have lost some money, but then in the ancillary markets, cable, DVD, that's where they might have then broken even. This thing, no. Oh my God. Why did they think this was a good idea is a mystery. So you take a classic novel that is itself, it's a satire of society and politics in its era of Ireland. Okay. This is not immediately transferable to the American market. So you got to plug in Jack Black. You got to make different things take place and justify all of this. And this movie it should have just been called Shortcut because there's just so many leaps that take place in this script in order for something to take place. None of it makes sense. So to kick this off, we start in Jack Black's hovel of an apartment in his underwear.
I
Yay.
did like his alarm clock. The basketball guy running over and dunking the basket, and the
Oh,
alarm goes off.
I must have missed this actually. I was probably
Oh,
still settling in with my coffee with this.
it's like the first thing you see on the screen before he wakes up. His alarm clock has a little basketball player, and it goes across the court, and when it dunks the basket, the alarm turns on.
Aha.
I
Clever.
don't even know if that's a real thing. I hope they made it for the movie because if they didn't, I know what you're getting for Christmas.
Gee, I can't wait. Meaning
No,
I
it's not the clock. It's
meaning
the
I
picture
can't.
of Jack Black in his underwear.
Yeah, this is how we open our movie and get ready. This will be a recurring theme. So Jack gets up, he makes coffee, he stumbles out into the street and goes to his job where he's perfectly content to be the mailroom guy, the wacky zany mailroom guy.
He's
So
got no drive or ambition. He's
he's
peaked.
hiring TJ Miller and he's going through it and and he's basically Jack Black. He's like, hey, you know what? I like it. You got sass. TJ Miller really couldn't give two craps about this job. He's like, so your name is Billy or whatever the hell it is. He's like, yeah, that's what it says on the resume. And it turns out he'd already been hired. Now, he walks him through the process, delivering mail in the office building. Don't talk to the guys. Don't look people in the eye. We're lowly mailroom people. Now, Jack Black, we learn, has been doing this for 10 years, never left the mailroom. This is key. And in the process of delivering mail, we find out he's got a very deep infatuation with Darcy, one of the journalists in the building. And, TJ Miller is basically telling him, no, come on, ask her out. Why don't you say something to her? He's like, come on, I can't do it. I'm just a mail guy. Now, Is it just me, or did this movie have just tremendous time jumps in it, or did everything just happen instantly? Because
Oh yeah, there's time jumps,
it's,
like
but they
huge
never
time jumps.
really explain. Because then, at the end of the day, I thought it was the end of the day. We see Jack Black in his office playing Guitar Hero because it's Jack Black. He can't make a
I don't think
movie
it's
unless
I
he's
don't even think
playing
it's the
music.
end of the day. I think it's just like random parts of the day.
But that's what I'm saying is they never explain. It's like all of a sudden we just cut. And I'm saying end of the day because the lighting was a lot darker. It was just, like all the other lights are out and just his desk lights were on. And he's playing Guitar Hero. And then TJ Miller comes in and says, "Oh, by the way, I'm your boss now." How did that happen? What?
The two delivered one piece of mail, and suddenly he's the boss.
He's like, "No, no, it's cool. I'm your boss. I can do this stuff." He's like, "Well, technically you're not because I'm your boss now. I got promoted."
Oh yeah, be in
When,
tomorrow at 7.
when did that happen? Okay, whatever. So now, and he's like, "Oh, and by the way, no more Guitar Hero in the office."
And this is where they try to set him up as some sort of lovable loser, but truthfully, he's just a loser.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing real lovable about him.
Oh,
Next, we see him back in Darcy's office, and they didn't even explain this. He just kind of grabs a sheet of paper off of her filing cabinet. And she's like, "Oh, are you applying for the writer job?" And he looks at her and says, "Like, oh, yes." Like they didn't. It wasn't like there was a job posting and he took it. He's like, "Oh, this is my way to get to Darcy." He's just like fumbling in her office, and he's like, "Yeah, how you doing?" It's just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be your new writer now." Like this whole movie is filled with this. So she says, "Oh, I didn't know you wrote." He's like, "Yeah, sure. Oh, it's what I do on the side. I keep it on the DL though. I'm a writer. You know how it is." And then we go home and we see he's not a writer because he's instantly has writer's block. But he impresses her with his travel writing skills by plagiarizing travel writing websites.
but I mean, I guess was it Time Out was one on there? Like, I guess is that a
Mm-hmm.
travel site of some sort? I'm
It's
on.
an entertainment site, and they do some travel writing. Apparently, they're known for, or were known for. I don't know, but we see him literally cut and paste their work as his own. Also, Frommer's travel guide, because nobody ever reads that. He hands it to her, and she raves about the work the next day. Wow, this has, I mean, sometimes you sound serious like in Frommer's, and sometimes you're fun and engaging like at Time Out. And he's like, "Yeah, that's what I was going for." So she hires him and sends him on an assignment to Bermuda for 3 weeks, like instantly. That's because that's how publishing works, Paul. You and I are in the business. We
Yeah,
know.
here's one that I've just had in a filing cabinet. I don't have anybody worth it. Here you go. Everything's just sitting around waiting for you to go. So go on this
Yeah,
3 week trip on a boat.
she's fumbling around and is like, well, I'll give you a little assignment. It might be insulting at first, but go on vacation for 3 weeks and write about
Yeah, I'll
it.
fly you there.
What publishing house operates this way? Like they've got a $2,000 travel expense and per diem just waiting for somebody to stumble in the office and take him up on this offer. What? And show me where this is at because I can pull this off. I'm sorry. Send me to Bermuda for 3 weeks and write about it. I'm game. So this is how our movie kicks off. Just convenient happenstance is everything that takes place here. So now he's in Bermuda and goes to a boatyard to get his boat, where every single boat is cleverly named with puns. It's comedy. Hey, this guy's never driven a boat in his life. They send him out in the ocean into the Bermuda Triangle because that's how life works. This is a guy who lives in New York City, doesn't own a car. And the first thing he says when he's in the pilot's chair of the boat, "Where's the clutch?"
Terrible ad lib line.
I'm sorry, but there's no way Jack Black living in New York City in the mailroom for 10 years can drive a stick. No, there's no way he can handle a manual transmission. I'm just going to say it. Driving a boat is easier than driving stick because there is no clutch. It's forward, it's reverse.
It's all
No
throttle,
steering.
baby.
You don't have a brake even, okay? It's like one pedal. Deal with it. But he's now in the middle of the ocean where he promptly is reading a gaming magazine and falls asleep at the helm. Okay. Gets caught in a storm and gets caught in a water tornado, water spout. Is that how he gets to this place?
Yeah, I think so.
We're led to believe this is like, I guess, a portal. And I say led to believe because not a damn thing is ever explained here. So he gets caught up in his twister. He looks up at the camera and screams as he descends down into it. And for the first of many times in this movie, Jack Black comes to. Like, how many times did he pass out in this film and wake up somewhere?
A lot. Like all he did was fall backwards onto the sand and passes out.
Sometimes without even an explanation as to why. So apparently getting caught in this twister knocked him out. So he washes up on shore, sort of, but he's all tied down. It's that big famous visual from the story where tiny, tiny little people have him tied down.
By his hair and by his ropes everywhere.
Now, just to show you the point of convenience of this film, these are the Lilliputians, residents of Lilliput. They have a remarkable ability to build massive, by their scale, massive pieces of machinery in a single day. So not only is Jack Black tied down, but there's wooden scaffolding and everything built around him in rather complex fashion, right? I mean,
like, how long has he been out?
He would have had to been unconscious for a couple of weeks for this to be pulled off in real life. But since this is real, REEL, he washed up on shore and they did it. So they're calling him the Beast because he's so massive in size. And oh man, this is tough to get through because there's just the absence of logic in this thing is what is grating. That's my curse, my pragmatism rising up again. Damn it, they don't want me to be that way. But Chris O'Dowd, a very good Irish comedic actor, seen him in a number of things, Bridesmaids and others. He's embarrassing here. He's got to be embarrassed because he's playing General Edwardian. Because he's Ed. He's two names. And he's leading the Lilliputian army. We're going to tame you, Beast. And Jack Black basically just sits up, breaks all the ropes and scaffolding, and he's alive now, I guess. And then he gets arrested.
Like, yeah, and how do you arrest somebody of that nature? I guess it comes down to the old classic dilemma. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? Or if you were thrown into a room with a group of kindergartners, how many could you defeat before they overwhelmed you and take you down?
Yeah, it's weird, but he stands up, they get angry and attack him again, and they throw grappling hooks on the back of his pants and start pulling on him. So we get Jack Black's ass crack right there in blazing full screen color. Now here's something are you familiar with Joe Latriglio from Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
He shows up for this one scene. He gets shoved in like some sort of Jack Black Lilliputian sexual device and disappears forever.
He's a good comedic actor. In fact, he came from a high school I went to here in Coconut Creek. He originated there. And then he went to college and got into a comedy troupe and then got into Hollywood. But yeah, he shows up on camera. So they're putting grappling hooks on the back of Jack Black's pants and start pulling on it. Well, guess what's going to happen? he's going to fall backwards and sit on you dumbasses that are pulling on him. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish here, but he starts to fall back, and you see a close up of Joe Latriglio in army attire, and basically looks up and says, "Oh no, blammo!" And now he's shoved all the way up Jack Black's colon, and we never see him again in the entire film.
Gone. Like he would disappear deep. He was, bro. He was prison deep inside of Jack Black is where he was at.
This brings a new definition of the term memory hole.
Oh my gosh, stop it.
We completely forget about Joe Latriglio, and he's been on screen for 2 seconds. I can't wait. One day I want to meet him and just talk to him about this.
This one scene.
How did this transpire?
They designed he got costumed for this role.
That costume had to be hundreds of dollars. He had a hat, full attire, buttons, brass, everything, just so he could look up and go, "Oh no!" And he shoved up somebody's colon. Wow. I mean, love Hollywood for this. So,
well, if you look at the Gulliver's Travels 3D poster for this movie, the tagline is "Black is the new big."
Right.
I got issues with all the wording on that area, and I think I understand what it is they were attempting to go for. However, the double entendre here cannot be ignored after seeing the scene with Joe Latriglio.
Well, yeah, there's all kinds of phrasing involved in this one, but get ready because we're going to be inundated with Jack Black's physique in this film. Yes, we are. Now, the next scene is we kind of have this sweeping crane shot of a seaside cave, and we come to find out that Jack Black is now incarcerated in here. This means the Lilliputians had shackles made already just in case a giant person ever comes to their island and they have to arrest them. Like they just happen to have shackles that fit him.
Okay, I got a whole issue. Oh, my dog's like whatever outside. Oh, my son has just returned home from college, and now the dogs are allowing me to know that he has entered our home as a wanted visitor. Anyway, so the biggest issue, one of the biggest issues I have with this part of the movie, or really the whole movie, is that there's no explanation of how these little tiny shoemaking elves work, right? They just make stuff, and so they're like, "Oh, you good builders, you make things." Well, they're not showing them like mining the stuff. They don't show how they're forging large pieces of glass and wood and iron, and how long it takes. I mean, I know they're good at building, but they're not Amish. They're still taking some time. So they carved a large hole in the side of a rock, then created tiny cages inside of there to hold people, like a scene from Lord of the Rings. And then they chained him up. But how did they get him down there? It's a giant cliff. How did they get him down there?
They drop hay through a hole in the top and say, "Go ahead and eat this," and it's less than the size of a Ritz cracker, but he's supposed to eat it. Meanwhile, looking across from him in this tiny little hole in a tiny little cage is Jason Segel, their prisoner, who we come to learn has been arrested because he gave the side eye to the princess one time. And he's a lowly commoner, and you don't do this. So he was basically hitting on the princess, and that got him arrested. So Jack Black is making friends with Segel, and he's like, "Come on, dude, that's give it up." And fist bumping was really big in 2010, by the way.
I still fist bump.
Yeah, but it was like a plot point almost in this movie.
Well, he couldn't shake hands with him. I mean,
I know, but it's like they made such a big deal about this at times, and he's like, "Come on, give it to me. Don't leave me hanging, guys. Come on." It's like,
look, you can use them as a sexual device. You can pee on them. You can stomp around and probably kill a few as you just accidentally stepping on them like ants. It's just going a little too far to make me believe that he can shake hands with a Lilliputian.
All right. I guess.
They had to keep it real.
But we then learn or see, I don't know, again with the technology. There's a they were going for a steampunk feel in this, weren't they?
I don't even know if that's what they were going for. I mean,
It felt like it.
parts of it, yes, but not all of it because Emily Blunt is dressed like a real princess. They're all dressed.
Oh no, I
It's
know that. It was just the mechanics and all of that had that kind of feel
it
to
was
it.
almost Austrian. Like
But this is what I'm talking about when it came to the
who was the dude that
technology.
started the World War One? Archduke Ferdinand.
Oh, okay. Well, he didn't
Right?
start it. He was assassinated.
He assassinated. That's what started. But this is what the movie felt like it was going for with the Lilliputians, was that look and aesthetic,
Yeah, I
that
could
type
see
of
that.
grandeur.
Yeah, very opulent. I mean, their kingdom is, very ornate, and they're all dressed in finery and all that stuff. So they're giving this regal appearance. But just to show you how aggravated I was with the technology. So he gets arrested, and now he's going to be the guy to plow their fields. They have this metal apparatus on all of his joints and arms and head, controlled by O'Dowd, who's on a platform roughly on his stomach. Like it's around a waist, and the platform's in front, and he steers and controls Jack Black through the fields, plowing the field for farming. Does a general do this? Is my first question. But again, where did they develop this? How did they build this? It had to be instantly because you don't have this thing just in case 100-foot beast comes to your island and you can make him a slave.
And then why did he not just like throw them all off as they're attaching all these apparati to to himself?
Yeah, it's baffling. Now the apparently there's a rival island that wants to fight with the Lilliputians, and I'm just to the point of aggravation of even trying to pronounce all these names and such. But this island comes by sea in their boats and start attacking. They're going to kidnap the princess and distract the army by setting a palace on fire so they could kidnap her. Edward Edwardian's like, I'll save her. And Jack Black's like, dude, I'm like bigger than everybody. Let me go do it. And, Prince Edward's like, no, I'm in charge. I'm going to save her. Except he doesn't. Edward hops off the platform and Jack Black is just automatically walking through this apparatus. Now, Horatio, who's Jason Segel, why was he even on the platform? Was he indentured as well?
I guess he had him waving a fan. He's like, "You're not fanning me, person."
So, yeah, all right. So General Edward hops off. Jack Black's walking under control of this apparatus until Jason Segel hits a button. The whole thing breaks off and falls. Now, Jason Segel would have had to have plummeted the equivalent of 40 feet for him
Easily.
when this thing fell apart. But then he just hops up and dusts himself off. He's like, okay, well, go save her now. And he does. He plucks the princess, saves her, but the palace is on fire. Oh my gosh, what can we do? We have to put this fire out. The king and his servant are in the library burning up. I I wish I didn't have to say this, but I do. The gathered masses are behind Jack Black and watch this giant drop his pants and piss all over the palace to put the fire out. This happened on screen.
Yep.
And then Edward says something to him, and midstream, now, thankfully, they don't show all of the grand detail here, but we have point of view looking down at Chris O'Dowd as he's talking, and Jack Black has turned, and he promptly gets plastered with gallons of urine.
Like so much that I felt uncomfortable.
Yes, and this is the part where I start questioning: is this really a kids' movie? Because at times you think, okay, there's got to be a kids film, right? No, not this. Not with this kind of kink shaming going on. But so Chris O'Dowd is drenched after getting micturated on, and says, "Well, that's it. This guy's going to get tossed. He's going to be kicked out of here, and I can get my princess back after I shower for 4 days." Except the king says, "He's a hero. He saved our lives. He saved our palace. Your palace that's got puddles and puddles of urine all over it." Okay.
What is it with movies that think that urine, like gold, are they called golden jokes? Is that what they call them? I mean, they just did that in Borderlands, right? Where they had a giant worm spray urine on the entire cast inside of a truck. Like, okay, if it's a slapstick kids film, kids love gross poop jokes. It's just kind of what life is. There's a whole game out there called Poop in the Toilet that you can get at Walmart. That's a real game. It's a real game. Where kids like to play in the toilet. That's why we have to teach them as adults not to do so, but then we give them a game that allows them to do it for points. Whatever. Doggies Go Poop Poop. Where it's a game where you click the dog's head, and if it poops on your side of the table, you're out. Well, yeah, okay. You go watch. You ever
seen
a
whole movie flushed away?
Have you ever seen See Spot Run?
I don't think I have.
Oh my gosh, with David Arquette, one of the funniest movies I've ever watched.
Okay, yeah, I have actually.
Well, he's got the big old giant dog. He's taking care of it for the weekend, and it's just he takes the dog out to walk. It poops. He's in the middle of the night and he slips and falls, and he ends up screaming. He can't get back inside. He's just screaming, "I'm covered in caca." That's hysterical because it fits inside the movie world, right? It's supposed to be over the top, silly nonsense. This is not what this movie is. So to come out there and show it, and I understand that this is part of the original novel, where that's how he puts out the fire. I would say that Jonathan Swift was a pervert because there was an entire ocean sitting right there. He could have just scooped some water up and thrown it out with his hands or his hat or his shoe.
But this also cuts into what he was doing in the time period, which was satire. And so
that's true.
Like the Lilliputians were, a stand-in for the local government that he was opposed to, and he could actually have a giant pissing on the government. That's what he was going for. Basically, the novel is a big political cartoon. So, yeah, he's having the government he opposes getting pissed on. That's what he was doing in the book. I did not need to see Jack Black urinating on Chris O'Dowd in his military attire.
And why do we need to watch the act of it happening? Look, wear a belt, bro. Like the rest of us, wear a belt with your stupid cargo shorts and your dirty old jacked up underwear. I don't need to see it. Keep that out of my eyesight. I don't need to see a camera shot from behind to show that he's peeing on something by having him drop trowel to his ankles.
Yeah, and then, inside during the fire, they're just getting blasted with fire hose of liquid. So you're like, wow, that's okay. They're getting drenched in urine. And then O'Dowd, he's drenched in urine. But I did not need to see this. I don't.
Here's the way you're supposed to create this scene, right? And have it still be family friendly and not be absolutely gross. He comes up, he starts to look around nervously, and he's like, "I got an idea, but you guys are not gonna like it." And they're like, "What?" And then you could just cut the camera to the crowd, have them gasp, then have the fire smoke coming out of the building, and have Connolly and the other fellow, is it Corden? Just have them walk out completely soaked. We understand what the audience can put together what just occurred. And now it goes from being a gross joke to being a very well-timed physical joke, a sight gag, if you will. That works.
What now we're talking about there is implied humor. which means
Yes.
we're active participants and we put things together. Oh, that's what. Ooh, okay.
Oh, yeah, like, oh, okay, okay. Oh, I see what he did there.
But to
Oh,
actually watch them getting blasted with a golden shower is unsettling. So
that is putting it kindly.
I did not need to see this. It's like, fine. So, as a result of this heroism, Gulliver is now appointed general, and Edward has been demoted to vice general. Edward now is upset, shake fisting above the head, upset because of this. And now the Lilliputians do everything they can to curry favor and show Gulliver all their magnificence. They build him, by Gulliver's standards, a mansion, which means by their standards, a massive office building. Like overnight. Like all of a sudden, we see him wake up and go, ah, yeah. And he puts on a robe and steps out on a balcony. And we see this massive house of his that they built. And we see workers pouring stuff into something, going up a elevator shaft and making this whole operation, this big construction project. That's them making him a pot of coffee.
And like they don't, how do they not know what coffee? Again, how do they produce all that? They're not out there mining, and if they're out there mining, whose slave labor are they using to make that happen?
A coffee bean is about the size of a Lilliputian in this movie. Okay, that's how big they are. That means what? They need thousands of beans that are their size and ground up and transported and placed into this massive device that they had just built, including the glass foundry that had to make the pot and everything. I mean, this is where, my mind is going. Is like, this would have been a 4-year project just to build this place. Add another year for the coffee pot. But apparently they just have millions and millions of people available, and slave labor is the way to go in this environment. So,
and there's two groups, right? There's two groups of people here. Who are the other fellas? The Bafashkus or Bafalshis?
Yeah, Bafausians, something like that. That's the enemy that comes and tried to kidnap her. Now, before they attack, however, they have apparently also built a monumental theater that seats thousands, in the center of which is a recliner for Gulliver. Again, another massive building project that would have taken years. Just like that. And they're now putting on stage productions based on the life story that Gulliver had told them, which are all movies.
Right, because he's a nerd, a geek. He's a loser geek. They've designed a loser geek as their hero. And the purpose of the film was to raise him up above loser geek status.
Yes. So he instead of being the lowly mailroom guy, he tells him he's been the president of Manhattan. His life story is basically Star Wars and Titanic. And of course, Chris O'Dowd is playing the scorned guy, and he's like, "How can this be your story if you died?" And he's like, "I was resuscitated."
And he's 100% correct.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's correct, but we're supposed to see him as the villain, as the bad guy, because that's just the way it goes. And also now they start constructing a Lilliputian version of Times Square again overnight. And all the billboards, all the banners, everything is a play on the name Gulliver with pop culture references. So, like you mentioned before, it's not Avatar, but Gulliver. And it's got the big eye from the movie poster. And then a Gulliver Klein underwear ad and, things of this nature. And I was looking for the advertisement for Gulliver brand aspirin because I needed something for the migraine this movie is producing at this stage.
Did you try liquor?
Of course, I know how to self-medicate. So, all right, where are we at? Governor Edward now is so despondent about what's taking place, and Jack Black is also coaching Horatio now to start wooing the princess, which makes absolutely no sense because we've already established Jack Black has no game.
Zero game, and but they don't know that. So he likes
He,
to tell people what they can do and without actually doing it.
but where is this coming from? Because they've already established when it came to Darcy, he's been pining for her for what, 5 years and never
Five
spoke to
years.
her. Now he's coaching Horatio. He's like, let me tell you, son, this is how you do it. And he's feeding him Prince lyrics and he's telling him, to start negging her so that she'll be interested more. And what? It's like, no, you could not even talk to a woman 5 minutes ago in this movie. And now suddenly you're a player. Okay. So all of this has the princess confused. She doesn't want Edward as her lover anymore. He gets pissed off, lowers the defenses, and invites the enemy to come and attack his country. An armada of ships arrive offshore to attack Lilliput. Okay, time for General Gulliver to go take over. Yay, we now get to see Jack Black undressed, shirtless, and wading through the ocean. This is not a well-defined physique that we're looking at.
Comedian's physique.
This is silly putty with body hair. And I'm only saying this not because I have any fascination with Jack Black's body, but because his naked torso fills the entire movie screen. It was horrific here in my home. I can only imagine what it would look like on a 40-foot screen. Eek. So
in 3D.
Wow. Yes.
There you go.
And it's at that point everybody was setting their popcorn bucket on the floor. I'm done. I don't need any. I'm okay. So he tries to bargain with the generals admirals, since they're in the water. He's like, hey guys, I'm going to make a lot of splashing effects here. Then you guys just turn around because they want me to sink your boats and stuff. And they're like, yeah, okay, sure. Instead, they surround him and start firing cannonballs at his naked flab. We see his body dotted with dozens and dozens of little black dots, and he's like, wow. And then he puffs out his beer gut and fires the cannonballs back at the boats, causing all kinds of damage. Yes, this is dad bod military defense.
That's not even a dad bod, bro. That's just I let myself go bod.
Yes, this is 12 months of video gaming bod.
I don't care about myself bod.
Exactly. Yeesh.
I won't lie. I'm getting close to that type of bod.
But he then sweeps his hand through the water, gathers up all of the anchor lines, and drags the dozens of boat out to sea. He's now a hero. And Chris Dowd now General Edward, I should say, has had it. So now he turns for the other side. He goes over to the other country, the Befutians, to say that I want you to attack Lilliput. Now, when we were on the boat, this was a stupid callback. But while we were on the initial boat ride into the Bermuda Triangle, Jack Black was reading, I guess, a gaming magazine, was it?
Yeah, it's something like that.
And he opened a 2-page. He's like, wow, you could build your own robot. Like that's ever going to happen. And he promptly falls asleep with it on his face. Well, somehow General Edward got a hold of the magazine, cut these pages out, rolled them up, and had dozens of soldiers march these into the palace where the enemy is at for them to build a robot.
Apparently, everybody that's that tiny can build.
This this is Japanese mecha that we're talking about on their scale, because what we see is this robot, kind of small, about waist height of Jack Black, is rolled out into the courtyard in Lilliput.
Looks like a little trash can.
Yeah, and he's like, "What is this? Come on, hey, you think you're gonna scare me with this? Hey, this stupid little robot? I could take you. I could." And then this thing becomes a transformer.
Yeah, do you accept my challenge? My dual challenge?
Well, yeah, I can kick this garbage can's ass. Oh my gosh, it's not a garbage can as we watch this thing unfold and expand and grow and swell. And now it's a big metal automaton bigger than Jack Black. And inside is General Edward handling everything with the same kind of robotic mechanics we saw in Alien 3. The complexity of this, the enormity of it. This thing would not be built in a day. This would be a NASA project involving Elon Musk, and 5 years down the road, a prototype might start rolling out. But no, a day. So Chris O'Dowd is now in a 7-foot tall robot, again, Jack Black scale, 150 feet by Lilliputian scale. And they start fighting, and he defeats Jack Black. How, Paul?
You don't make me say it. I don't want to say it.
You made me watch this movie.
I don't want to say it because it's how he defeats the robot during their fight too, and that's even more ridiculous. So you're gonna make me say it. It gives him a wedgie. Gives him an atomic wedgie with his stupid old dirty Jack Black underwear.
Now,
just dumb.
I'm unaware of the fact that a wedgie renders somebody helpless. But again, granted, me being 6'5", I was always tall. I was never on the receiving end of a wedgie, nor did I administer them either. But still, I don't think that this is the case. I'll say this: as much as we have looked at the flab and the corpulence of Jack Black, I'm very dubious that he could be suspended by the waistband of Fruit of the Loom.
No, he's going to give up way before he does.
Yeah, that thing's going to let go. Just saying. But nonetheless, the robot's holding him by his waistband. He hovers over the Lilliputians. He's now defeated, you see, to the extent that he starts confessing to them, it's all a lie. Everything I told you is a lie. I'm just a male guy. Okay.
They don't know what that means.
So now he is banished to what do they call it? The island that we don't mention, or something like that?
The island we dare not go.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, it's the island in Harry Potter. The island we dare not mention by name. And once again, we see him strapped down. How do they do this to him all the time? He is like constantly tied up by these tiny, tiny people. But now he's on a raft made of barrels, shipping across, and they push him into the mist, and he washes up on shore of this other island, unconscious. Again, just, I don't know what happened or why, but he washes, and he just kind of breaks out of the ropes like it's nothing, like they're Twizzlers or something. It's like, well, why didn't you do that back there? Whatever. I'm just going with it at this point. So now he's stumbling around this island, but it's not populated by super tiny little minuscule people, but by gargantuan people, and he's now the Lilliputian. What is going on?
Well, I mean, that was the island of giants in the book, but there's only one giant. It's a tiny girl. It's a little girl. You never see her parents, which would be even bigger than her, but you never see her in it. So I don't know. And then Jason Segel shows up, and he would have been like the size of Ant-Man compared to the big girl.
Yeah, and Segel, like, He gets across, he finds this house, he gets in like no one's business. Like boom, he's there. Again, this movie has no time constraints. So Jack Black wakes up. Well, we see a giant glass jar come down on top of him. He's captured like a bug. He wakes up in a bed and he's all, oh wow, that was refreshing. And he's toddling around and the sink doesn't work. That's funny. Then he gets a look in the mirror and he's wearing a dress. He's the toy, Paul. He's the little girl's toy.
Like, why wasn't he able to do that to the Lilliputians on their side?
I mean, your entire movie unravels right here. She's like what, 6 by
At
appearances?
least, yeah, maybe 8 at the most.
He's forced to stay in his dollhouse. How? Walk out. Go, like, he's like, I'm not having a tea party. And she rips the head off of a stuffed rabbit. He's like, oh, okay, I love tea now. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, but the kid's knocked out sleeping at night. Get the hell out of there. Beat cheeks.
And then she's putting a diaper on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the dolly. He's in a baby girl dress. He's got ribbons in his hair. He's wearing a diaper. And then he sits down at a table and there's a military pilot in full gear and helmet next to him. He's like, hey, what brought you here? And then he opens the lid and it's a skeleton.
Like, this whole scene is supposed to be played for laughs. It's super cringy. The whole thing is really cringy. Like, they spend too much time there. It doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the film or the story that they're telling.
No, that's the thing, is I don't get what purpose any of this. But I'm trying to think now, let's just say you're a kid and you capture a little animal and you want to have it as your pet. If said animal dies on you, you don't retain it. Like, let's just say you caught a baby duck. You want to take it home and make it your pet. I love my baby duck. Oh, crap, he died. Well, I'm still going to pose him at the tea table in a costume as he desiccates and becomes a skeleton. This girl's got really big, deep emotional scars and issues that she needs to deal with, is all I'm saying. But the Lilliputians get overrun by the opposing army. They start to take over. And Horatio then realizes they need Gulliver. So he gets a boat. He goes to the island that you're never supposed to go to and goes to it. Oops. Lands, finds this house, finds Gulliver somehow, and then convinces him to go back. Oh, jeez, with this movie.
Yeah, we need you to defeat the Red Army or whatever. Please help us.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, you're our only. I'm surprised he didn't throw it. He didn't call himself Obi-Wan, and he goes, Obi-Wan, you're our only hope.
At this point, I'm like just dying for this movie to get over. I mean, what?
Good news. It's not almost over.
So they decide to go back. How do they get back, Paul? Did they use a boat? Did they build another raft? No. The dead airline pilot has a parachute on his back. So they use it because, hey, you don't need this anymore. It's funny because he's dead.
Yeah, grave robbery.
Okay. They jump out of the house. The parachute opens and apparently floats them across the ocean back to Lilliput, because that's how parachutes work. They don't descend slowly. They're navigable. You can actually fly in a parachute now, apparently. So they go back, and now Gulliver squares off with Edward the robot.
Edward the robot.
So they have this duel. Edward's getting the better of him, but Horatio is on it. So he races in between the legs, never getting stepped on, of course, throws a grappling hook, hooks into the back of the robot, climbs into the robot, and starts to confront Edward and throw the robot out of control. Jack
Which,
Black
by the
gets
way,
the better of him.
he's upgraded it now.
Did he now?
It's got lightning. He shoots lightning out like Thor.
Oh, that's right. Yes, it's electrified now. So as Jack Black is starting to fight back, aha, I have a button, and charges him with voltage that renders him not quite unconscious, but basically it's a taser now. The amount of voltage they would have needed to incapacitate Jack Black and his size would be on par with a power plant. It's just all I'm going with here. Again,
It's like Iron Man.
their engineering skills are top notch. But Horatio gets the better of him inside the robot, and that Jack Black now gets leverage. And as you hinted, Paul, he delivers a robotic wedgie.
Stupid robotic wedgie.
What?
Like he was wearing robotic underwear.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like around the waist, maybe in the center of the robot, it was a staging aspect or something, but he pulls it out in wedgie fashion, and this renders the robot no longer good. And we start to reach a painful conclusion because as the Lilliputians and the Bifutians are in the courtyard and arguing and declaring war against each other, Jack Black modulates a peace accord between them. How does he do it, Paul?
You're gonna make me say it.
I'm making you say it. I'm making you relive this scene. Yes.
I don't want to say it. I know I picked this movie. It was my suggestion. I don't want to say it. You're gonna still make me say it. Fine, they sing war. What is it good for? Absolutely not. Wanted to punch the screen every time they said the word not.
Well, at one point, James Corden says nil. So there's a little bit of a difference. How these people knew the lyrics to this song they've never heard of, however, because this is what Jack Black does when he's in his mode. He gets this bellowing voice, like anytime he's in music performance mode. Tell me now, what is it good for? Absolutely not, sir. Exactly. And then he starts singing, or what is it good for? And starts dancing. And all the Lilliputians start dancing. And all the Bifurcians start dancing. To war, what is it good for?
Absolutely not.
I'll tell you one thing it's good for. Sending an ICBM wherever the hell the set was for Gulliver's Travels. That's what it would have been good for.
Send two just in case something happens to the first one.
And we also glossed over this very deeply vital and important plot point. I forgot to mention that Darcy showed up.
Oh yeah, Darcy shows up.
This apparently was why they brought him back from the land of the giant girl. But she shows up. She too washes up on shore. She too is tied down. And then they realize that she's his queen because that's what he told them about her. And she's like, "What do you mean queen? What are you talking about? Oh my God, that's disgusting. It's so sweet." Like she just turns on a dime.
Yeah, I've had a crush on you for 5 years, and I come by your office with no reason just so I can stalk up on you. Well, that's super sweet. Thanks.
Yeah, so apparently, like earlier, he had gotten a phone call from her. Well, I don't know how, though, because when he was on the boat and got caught up in the tornado, he didn't have a signal and got sent to Lilliput. And Lilliput apparently has fabulous cell service, so he could hear his voicemail. Well, she had called him repeatedly, found out that he plagiarized his article. She's very deeply mad at him. Now he's hiding and won't give the article, so she now has to fly to Bermuda and go into the Devil's Triangle and do the story herself. And then she gets caught in the tornado and washes up in Lilliput, and now they...
But why does she have to go do the things she didn't want to go do in the first place just because she sent him out there and can't hear from him?
because he wasn't doing it, and therefore the script needed a reason for her to be there. You see, I don't know.
And she doesn't. She's as large as he is. Why can't she go out there and help fight?
Yeah, she doesn't do much, does she? She shows up, and that's about it. She's just there.
Look, in 2025, we're gonna come up with a theme. We're gonna do the Kevin Bacon. 2025 is the year of Kevin Bacon, where we're basically gonna take the first film of the year and we will tie it in all the way to multiple films to the end of the year. Same film with a complete Kevin Bacon timeline that spans the whole year. 26 movies, all connected. We're going to start with Amanda Peet in this film and going to go on to the whole 10 yards with Amanda Peet. And then we're just going to keep going. We might have an Amanda Peet year. There's always going to be a movie that attaches somewhere and it's going to be connected to Amanda Peet. We could have done the whole 10 yards. That is just as terrible a movie as this one. She has zero reason to be in this film. It could have been played by any other character. She's not a name draw. I mean, I like her, but she's not a name draw for this film.
No. She doesn't really serve much of a purpose outside of being the way he goes out there, but you could have come up with any reason for him to be in the Bermuda Triangle, frankly.
Any halfway beautiful woman would have worked for this role.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't have to be her, but it was her. So
I guess
that's the way to look at it. I don't really know. But yeah, so they avoid war by singing about it, I guess. And
I guess it's better than them singing Imagine.
Then all right, so at some point in time, his boat got repaired. He and Darcy get on the boat. He and Darcy find the water spout and get sucked out of it, I suppose.
I guess.
And now we're back at the magazine offices, and he is a legitimate travel writer now. The name of his column is Gulliver's Travels. I want to punch this movie in the throat. And
give it a wedgie.
Yes. So they're talking about their next assignment, and then in walks in TJ Miller with his new charge that he's training. Understand, when TJ Miller started, he was very prim, proper in office attire, button-up shirt, all that. Why is he now a Slavic version of Jack Black delivering mail?
I don't know.
I didn't understand what they were going for with it. Like
he went backwards.
He was this corporate climber. He's going to be a success. And now after getting back from Lilliput, he's a slacker in the mailroom.
Yeah, I know. Jack Black turns into the Secret Life of Walter Smitty, and this guy just goes back into Jack Black early movie.
Almost like he turned into TJ Miller. Huh, that's weird. But that's our movie. Happy ending, I guess. He got the girl.
Oh gosh, this movie does not need a happy ending. Let me tell you that right now. Based on what we saw previously, this movie can avoid the whole happy ending situation.
Yeah, I don't mean massage parlor version of happy.
There's a massage in this film. He has a panzer of dudes stepping all over his back.
Yeah, we see during his heroic episode, he's laying down with a battalion of soldiers walking up and down his back, like a little higher, a little turn. All right, yeah. It's like, okay. I've seen enough of Jack Black's body. I don't need to see his O face. Thank you, movie.
I mean, at some point, you would have thought that what's his name came out. Joe, that dude's going to take a dump at some point, and you're just going to find Joe. He's just going to be wandering the streets, covered in dookie, looking forlorn.
I need answers from Joe Latriglio.
Where did you go for this whole film? He may have just look, we're going to write you out in the worst way possible. I don't care.
He must have had extended scenes that were on the cutting room floor or something, because why would they feature his face? Oh no! It's like,
Yeah, that could
who
have
would,
been done by anybody.
yeah, this is what cracks me up about Hollywood so often when they bring in a massive star only to not feature said star. It's like I'm confused. Like when the Batman movie with that came out recently, anybody could have played the Penguin. He was unrecognizable.
Oh
But
yeah, but he did it. He did such a good job that they're
but
bringing back. They gave him a TV show.
yeah, Colin Farrell's getting his own show out of it now. It's like, okay, I know he's doing good and all that, but I mean, you had no clue it was him at all.
Mm-mm.
And just like in bringing things full circle, look at the Minecraft trailer with Jason Momoa in it. He's got to be computer modulated to look bigger, fatter, wide. It doesn't even look like him. He doesn't look good at all. Why? You could have had any schlub play in this role much cheaper.
And it wouldn't matter because it's not about the people in the film. It's about the film itself. It's about the game it's based on. Nobody says I'm gonna go play this game and pretend I'm Jason Momoa.
Well,
No,
I'm also curious what they were thinking because this is made for kids that play Minecraft. I don't see any kid out there saying, "Nah, I don't want to see a Minecraft movie." Do you know Jason Momoa's in it? I'm there.
you mean Aquaman from Aquaman 2, Lost Atlantis? I'm in.
This conversation is not taking place anywhere. I'm sorry. I don't want to see Minecraft.
But Jack Black's in it, the guy from the Jackal. Remember him? Oh, I'm in.
Okay, let's go.
Well, you got to be specific. Lead with that, man. Lead with that.
Wait, Jack Black from Gulliver's Travels? I want to go. Not a single person is having this conversation except you and me.
Right now, yeah. And maybe the producers who made it. I'll wait for Ryan George to do his pitch for Screen Rant on this one.
Emily Blunt is not even doing this conversation. Should tell you something right there. The princess won't talk about this film like we are. All right, well, that is Gulliver's Travels. If you really need to see Jack Black's body, I'll just say this: go to Prime, sign up for the free Cinemax, do not pay for this movie, and then cancel it the next day.
You see Jack Black's body, and we know you do.
Yes. To watch his beer gut flab get shot with cannonballs and then burst it back out towards the ships, that alone is worth the price of not paying for this. There you go. All right, Paul, why don't you let everybody know where they can find more of your content around the webs?
Find me on Zitter, MoviePaul or MoviePaul at MoviePaul. Yeah, it's been so long since I typed in my own name.
Sometimes you forget who you are.
Password.
Your identity is lost to time. That's the way it works on the webs. As for myself, you can head over to townhall.com where I got a daily media column called Rift from the Headlines. I'm also on the front page of Red State, where I also have a twice weekly podcast covering the media called Liable Sources. And you can hear more of me on this network. Next Thursday, as I alluded to earlier, you can hear me on The Culture Shift with Wardy Packard as we talk about all the vital and important entertainment news taking place. Also, Tuesday evenings, I'm here at 8:30 with the ever-effervescent Aggie Rican on the Cocktail Lounge. We guide you through all sorts of relaxation, content, cocktails in sports and entertainment, culture, you name it, we'll bring it to you to help you take your mind off of the travails of life. And then if you need more of me than that, and let's face it, you do, you can head over to Jitter. I am at Martini Shark. All right, that's going to do it for this realm. I resent the hell out of you for this one, Paul. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Little.
Look, so let me just say, I'm going to make it up for you with both the Christmas present that I've got to drive down there to give you this year, and
Still scared.
And the surprise I've got set up for the surprise movie I've got set up for the end of October.
I'm cautiously excited and fearful at the same time.
There are only two people two people in this world that know what movie I have chosen for October 24th. Only two.
Uh-oh.
I am one of them. I am not going to tell you who the other is.
Good.
I need you to sweat this for the next 4 weeks.
You don't scare me. I can take
Well, okay.
Okay. I have the DVD of the movie Dick Shark. Okay. I can handle anything you throw at me. I've seen Cannibal Holocaust more than once. I've got fortitude.
Okay. Well, we're going to test it.
All right. Sounds like a challenge. I'll be up for it. I don't know if I'll be up afterwards, but I'll be up for the challenge part. All right. Well, in the meantime, Paul and I got to noodle around for the next fortnight to come up with another piece of cinematic dreck to bring and serve to you, the listeners, and guide you through the magnificence of horrible movies here on Disasters in the Making.
Just sit right back and hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. The mate was a mighty sailing man, the skipper brave and sure. 5 passengers set sail that day on a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour.